Imagine standing at the altar on your wedding day, and your own son laughs at you like you're the joke of the night. Yeah, that happened to me. My name is Eleanor Hayes, Ellie to anyone who's ever cared enough to say it with warmth. And at 61, I truly believed life was giving me a second chance. After 15 years of widowhood, 15 years of empty chairs at dinner and holidays spent pretending I wasn't crying in my bedroom, I met Elias Vance. Eli wasn't flashy. He wasn't loud. He didn't roll up in a sports car or drown himself in designer labels like the men my son idolized. He was simple, grounded, steady, hands rough from real work, heart warm enough to melt the ice I'd been living under since my husband died. He made me feel seen again, wanted again, alive again. So when he proposed, I wanted our wedding to be perfect. Maybe too perfect. The venue was straight out of a luxury bridal magazine. Ivory velvet chairs, gold-rimmed crystal glasses, cream silk linens, and towering arrangements of white orchids and roses that shimmered under soft golden lights. I spent my life savings on this, every last bit. I didn't care. This day was supposed to be magic. And then, just as the minister started speaking, a nasty, mocking laugh cracked through the room like a gunshot. My heart dropped. I didn't even have to look to know where it came from. The third row. My family's row, my son Darius, at 38, looked like a finance bro cosplaying success. $3,000 Italian suit, gold Rolex, hair slicked back with enough gel to stop a hurricane. Beside him sat his wife, Tasha, in a tight, bright red dress that looked one wrong breath away from surrender. Her nails were long, black, sharp, and matched her personality perfectly. They weren't alone. Tasha's entire family sat there, loud, judgmental, dripping in fake gold and even faker manners. I heard Tasha whisper, not even trying to keep it down, "Look at it. Ellie really scraped the bottom of the barrel this time." Her mother snorted. "Poor woman, she's too old to catch something better." And Darius? My own son, he smirked. Like humiliating me was entertainment. My face burned, my hands shook. My heart broke so loudly I swear the chandeliers heard it. Eli squeezed my hand gently, steady, calm, unbothered. But everything inside me was spiraling. Right then, let me pause for 1 sec. Guys, before I tell you what they did next, because it gets way worse, hit like and subscribe. This story turns insane real fast. The minister continued talking about love and respect, but the whispers and snickers behind me kept slicing through the ceremony. Did you see his shoes? Look at that suit. My gardener dresses better. He looks broke. He looks pathetic. Their whole row shook with cruel laughter. I tried focusing on Eli, on his vows, on us. But then we reached the moment where Eli began speaking, and his voice, calm, deep, full of emotion, nearly made me cry. "Ellie, I may not have riches or flashy things, but what I have, I give to you. My loyalty, my heart, and every year I have left." Some guests sighed sweetly, and then Darius let out a loud, sarcastic laugh. Right in the middle of my vows, he stood up, raised his champagne glass like he was giving a toast, and said loudly, "This is embarrassing. Mom, this is the man you picked? This nobody?" The room froze. All 400 guests went silent. My stomach dropped through the floor. I whispered, "Darius, please," but he wasn't done, not even close. He waved his glass around dramatically. "You worked your whole life, Mom. Dad left you a good inheritance, and this is what you do with it. Marry some broke old man who wants your money?" Tasha stood up next to him, smiling like the devil got promoted. "He's not a stepfather, Ellie. He's trash. You picked up trash." Her entire family roared with laughter. Phones came out, people started recording. My humiliation was now their entertainment. And something inside me, something that had been crushed and ignored for years, finally snapped. I let go of Eli's hand. I walked down the aisle toward my son, shaking with anger but stronger than I had ever felt in my life. When I reached him, I said, "Darius, you're right. Someone does need to tell the truth today." The entire ballroom held its breath. This was the moment my life flipped forever. When I stood facing my son, shaking on my own wedding day, I didn't plan to say what came out of my mouth. But once I started, there was no stopping. The ballroom was so silent you could have heard a pin drop. Every eye locked on me. Ellie, the quiet woman who never raised her voice, never made a scene, never talked back. But that old version of me, yeah, she died the moment my son called my husband trash. I stood in front of Darius. He still wore that arrogant smirk, the same one he used as a kid after breaking something and blaming someone else. "You're right, Darius," I said, my voice trembling but sharp. "Someone needs to tell the truth." He blinked, confused. Tasha crossed her arms, already rolling her eyes like she was bored. "The truth," I said louder so the whole room could hear, "is that I spent 35 years of my life working myself to the bone for you." Murmurs spread like wildfire. Darius looked uneasy for the first time. I continued. 35 years of non-stop cleaning jobs, scrubbing floors, bathrooms, kitchens, whatever it took to keep you in good schools, to keep food on our table, to give you a chance at a better life. I felt my chest tighten, but I kept going. After your father died, I was alone, completely alone. "And do you know how many times you checked on me?" Silence. Darius swallowed hard. "How many birthdays did you skip? How many holidays did you ignore? How many times did I call you crying because the loneliness was suffocating?" He looked away, embarrassed, maybe ashamed. But Tasha jumped in with her usual venom. "Oh, please," she scoffed. "Here comes the pity party again. Always playing the victim, Ellie. Always needing attention." My jaw clenched. She stepped closer, heels clicking like daggers on the marble floor. "Newsflash," she sneered. "Your son has a life. He doesn't have time to babysit you." That word, babysit, broke something inside me. "I never asked to be babysat," I said coldly. "I asked to be loved." Even some of the guests gasped. Behind me, Eli stood firm and calm, like an anchor in a storm. But I wasn't done. "You two think you're better than him." I pointed back at my husband. "A man who has shown me more kindness, more respect, more love in 6 months than my own son has in 15 years. Darius's face turned red. "He's using you, Mom," he shouted. "He's broke. Look at him. Look at you," I said. "You who made me sign a loan agreement for $5,000 with interest, but somehow bought a Rolex 2 weeks later." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Darius stuttered. That's Mom, stop." But I didn't stop. "Do you know what else isn't fair?" I continued. "That when I needed help with surgery 3 years ago, you told me you had no money, and then went on a luxury vacation in Miami." Someone in the back whispered, "Oh my God." Tasha's mother hissed, "Ellie, this is humiliating." "You're right," I said. "It is humiliating, but not for me." Tasha stepped forward, pointing her long black nails right in my face. "You're desperate, Ellie. You're old. That's why you grabbed the first man who winked at you. You're embarrassing yourself and all of us." "All of you?" I repeated. "You mean the people who laughed at my husband, recorded us, treated me like garbage at my own wedding?" Her entire family stiffened. Then, because life loves dramatic timing, one of Tasha's cousins yelled, "Your man is trash. He looks homeless." More laughter, more mockery. And then Eli finally spoke. He didn't shout. He didn't tremble. He didn't even look angry. He simply said quietly, "Young man, you don't know me, but the way you just spoke, it tells me everything I need to know about you." The cousin froze. Darius stepped toward me, breath thick with champagne. "Mom, if you throw us out, if you do this, you will never see me again, or your grandkids." I swear to God, the threat sliced through me. My grandbabies, Miles and Chloe, were my world. And for a moment, my voice almost broke. But then I saw Eli watching me with calm, steady eyes. Not telling me what to do, not pushing, just believing in me. And I knew what I had to do. I wiped my tears. I straightened my back. And I said the words that would change everything. "Darius, you, your wife, and your entire toxic circus of a family. Out, you're leaving my wedding." Now, gasps, screams, phones raised, chaos exploding around us. Tasha shrieked, "You can't throw US out." "I just did," I said. "And if you're not out in 5 minutes, security will do it for you." Darius's jaw dropped. "You're choosing him over me?" "I'm choosing peace over abuse," I said softly. "Something you haven't given me in years." The room erupted. Darius stormed out. Tasha cursed the entire way. Her family followed, slamming chairs and knocking over decorations like angry toddlers. And when the door finally shut, the ballroom applauded. For me, for the first time in my life, I had chosen myself. But I had no idea what was coming next. Because after the chaos settled, after I returned to the altar shaking, Eli looked at me with a calm so deep it didn't feel human. And he said, "Ellie, there's something I need to tell you." Right after I kicked my own son out of my wedding, my new husband looked me in the eyes and told me something that made my knees go weak. The door had barely closed behind Darius and Tasha's entire circus when the room fell into an eerie silence. You know the kind, the heavy, stunned silence where everyone is scared to breathe wrong. I stood frozen at the altar, tears still wet on my face. Makeup probably smeared halfway down my neck, my heart pounding like a drum in my ears. And then Eli walked toward me, slowly, calmly, like we hadn't just survived a live-action family meltdown in front of 400 people. His hands, steady, warm, familiar, reached for mine. "Ellie," he said softly, "there's something I need to tell you." My stomach twisted. My first thought was, oh God, what now? Please don't let this man tell me he's secretly married or moving across the country. I'm not who you think I am. The entire room collectively inhaled. My brain short-circuited. What does that even mean? Was he sick? Was he leaving me? Was he, God forbid, a criminal? "Eli," I whispered, "you're scaring me." He gave me a gentle smile. One of those heart-melting smiles he only used when he was trying to make something heavy feel lighter. "Honey," he said calmly, "I'm a billionaire." The crowd gasped so loudly it sounded like the opening of an action movie. A billionaire, not rich, not comfortable, not has a decent retirement fund. A billionaire. My jaw hit the floor so fast I practically swallowed it. "What?" I croaked. "Eli, what are you talking about?" Eli squeezed my hands gently. "Ellie, I didn't lie to you," he said. "I just didn't tell you everything. I needed to make sure you loved me for who I am, not for what I have." A murmur rolled through the room. People leaned in like they were front row at a Broadway show. He continued, his voice steady but emotional. 8 years ago, when my first wife, Letitia, passed away, my entire world fell apart. Everyone around me changed. Friends became opportunists. Women only saw me as a checkbook. My in-laws tried to sue me for inheritance money. I felt my heart ache for him. "So," he said softly, "I stepped out of my old life. I downsized everything. I chose simplicity. I wanted to find someone genuine, someone who sees my heart before my wallet." He looked straight at me, eyes shining. "And then I met you." I covered my mouth, trying not to break into ugly sobs. He kept going. "I own Vance Development Group," he said, lifting his chin. "You might know some of our buildings." People gasped again. Yes, we knew them. Everyone knew them. They were practically landmarks in our city. "You built the Grand Plaza Hotel," someone whispered loudly. "And the Sun Promenade Mall," another guest said. Eli nodded humbly. I stood there shaking, my brain trying to do the math. The apartment he lived in? The old car he drove? The simple clothes? All of it. On purpose? "Eli," I whispered, how much are we talking about?" He paused for a second, just long enough to make every guest lean forward like they were about to faint. "About 2 billion, he said simply. 2 billion. My legs nearly buckled. Vivian, my best friend, literally had to grab my elbow so I wouldn't collapse into the floral arrangements. I looked at Eli, tears streaming down my cheeks. "Why tell me now?" I asked. "After all this chaos? After everything that happened today?" He brushed a tear from my cheek with his thumb. "Because," he said softly, "I needed you to see everyone's true colors before they knew the truth. I needed to know your decisions came from your heart, not from what I own." It hit me like a truck. Darius, my son, had just humiliated, mocked, and insulted a billionaire to his face. And I had defended Eli without knowing any of this. "Oh my God," I whispered. "My son, he called you trash." Eli shrugged gently. "Trash doesn't build half the city," he said with a small smile. "But that's not the point. Today wasn't about money. It was about you finding your voice." He stepped closer. "Ellie, you chose yourself today. That's worth more than billions." I broke. Right there at the altar, I burst into tears, loud, messy human tears, and he pulled me into his arms. Around us, people applauded, not for the money, not for the twist, for the strength they saw in me, for the courage I never knew I had. When he finally pulled back, wiping my tears again, he said, "Now, do you still want to marry me?" I laughed and cried at the same time. "Yes," I whispered, "more than anything." The minister, who had stood frozen during all this drama like he was witnessing the wildest plot twist of his career, cleared his throat. "If you two are ready," he said, smiling gently, "let's continue." And we did. We exchanged rings. We said I do. And when Eli kissed me, the entire room erupted in applause. It was nothing like the wedding I imagined. It was so much better because it was real. But little did I know, this twist was just the beginning. What Eli revealed next and what happened to Darius, that would take the roller coaster to a whole new level. You'd think finding out my husband was secretly a billionaire would be the big twist, but that was just level 1. What he showed me after the wedding, I wasn't ready. After the madness, the vows, the tears, and the applause, the ballroom transformed. The tension evaporated like it had never existed. Without Darius, Tasha, and their toxic cheer squad poisoning the air, the whole room felt lighter, softer, safe. People hugged me, told me I was brave, told me I deserved happiness. And for the first time in years, I believed them. Eli held my hand as if he were anchoring me to earth. He kept checking on me, brushing tears from my cheeks, kissing the top of my head. And every time he touched me, it sank in a little deeper. My husband was a billionaire, a literal billionaire. But what stuck with me wasn't the money. It was the fact he trusted me enough to finally reveal it. During dinner, he stood up to speak. The entire room quieted instantly, not because of his wealth, but because he carried himself with a gentleness that demanded respect. "I want to thank all of you," Eli began, "for standing with Ellie today. You supporting her courage and celebrating our love." He squeezed my hand. "Many of you just learned who I really am. So let me be transparent. I stepped away from that public life years ago because I was surrounded by people who only saw dollar signs. Today, I saw what real loyalty looks like, and I am grateful beyond words." Applause broke out, genuine applause. Then he lifted my hand and said, "This woman loved me when she believed I had nothing but my heart. That alone makes her the richest person in this room." I nearly melted into a puddle right there. Dinner, dancing, speeches. It all blurred into a warm haze of joy. For the first time in forever, I felt truly celebrated. Then, when the night ended and the guests left, Eli leaned toward me and whispered, "Ellie, there's something else I want to show you." My stomach fluttered. "What now?" I asked, half laughing. "A rocket ship? A castle? A secret island?" He grinned, close. We arrived at the penthouse suite Eli had reserved. Reserved was a gentle word. This wasn't a room. It was a kingdom in the clouds. The elevator doors opened to a space bigger than my entire old house. Floor-to-ceiling windows wrapped around the room, giving us a view of the entire glowing city below, like we were floating. I walked in slowly, touching the marble counters, the velvet furniture, the sparkling glasses. Everything radiated elegance. This is too much," I whispered. "Duh." Eli walked up behind me, sliding his arms around my waist. "It's not too much," he murmured against my ear. "It's what you deserve." We sat on the massive bed and he took my hands again, gently, carefully, like he was holding something fragile. "Ellie, earlier today you showed strength I've never seen before. You defended yourself. You defended us. You stood up to an entire room full of people and to your own son." I swallowed hard. I didn't feel strong, I admitted. I felt broken. "Strength isn't about not breaking," he said. "It's about breaking and standing up anyway." My eyes filled again. Then he reached into the bedside drawer and pulled out a leather folder. My heart skipped. "What is that?" "I didn't want to overwhelm you earlier," he said gently. "But I want our marriage to start without secrets. So this is the rest of the truth." He opened the folder. There were documents, papers, legal forms, property deeds, financial statements, and at the top, my name. "Eli, what is this?" He smiled softly. "These are the accounts I added you to. You now have full access to my primary holdings." "What?" "Eli, no, I can't." "You can," he said, "because you're my wife, and I trust you with my life." He handed me another document, property titles. "This," he said, "is your beach house." I blinked. "My what?" "And this," he continued, "is your city condo. And this is the mountain retreat." My breath caught. "You're giving me houses? I'm giving you security," he said. "You spent your whole life giving to others. Now it's time someone took care of you." I covered my face with my hands, overwhelmed. "But why so much?" I whispered. "Why me?" He took my hands away from my face and kissed my forehead. "Because when I met you, you didn't see a billionaire. You didn't see a target. You saw a man who dropped his tomato at the farmer's market." I laughed through my tears. That was the day we met. My cart bumped into his. A tomato fell, and I kneeled down on my bad knee to pick it up. Only someone genuine, he said, would kneel down for a stranger's tomato. I sobbed and laughed at the same time. And one more thing, he said. He handed me another document. This is an investment fund in your name. $50 million. $50 million. I stopped breathing. I swear I did. My lungs were like, "Nope, we're done, Eli. This is insane." "It's love," he said simply. I stared at him, completely undone. Just when I thought the night couldn't get more overwhelming, he said 5 words that changed the direction of the entire story. "Ellie, it's about Darius." My heart froze. "What about him?" I whispered. Eli inhaled slowly. "There's something you need to know." I thought the worst part of my wedding was over, but later that night my husband quietly said, "Ellie, it's about Darius." And those words nearly broke me. My heart dropped into my stomach. We were sitting in the soft glow of the penthouse lights, wrapped in silence thick enough to choke on. The wedding chaos was still swirling in my mind. The insults, the humiliation, the applause, the billionaire revelation, and now this. "Eli," I whispered, "what about Darius? What happened?" He held my hands gently, thumb brushing my knuckles like he was trying to soften the blow before delivering it. "There's something I didn't want to tell you earlier," he said carefully. "Not until after the ceremony. But you deserve to know everything." My chest tightened. "Just tell me." He exhaled slowly. 3 days ago, Darius found out who I really am." My breath caught. "What? How we?" One of his business partners showed him a Forbes article. My name was there. My picture, my company profile, everything. Suddenly the arrogance at the wedding made sense, the drunken confidence, the loud voice, the public display. He wasn't just mocking Eli. He thought he was mocking a poor man. He saw the article, Eli continued, but he didn't believe it, so he did more digging. When he finally realized it was really me, he panicked. I shut my eyes. Of course he did. Of course. My son, the same man who mocked my husband's shoes, who called him a beggar, humiliated a billionaire. And now, his pride and ego were crashing down like an avalanche. "What did he do?" I asked. Eli took out his phone. He contacted me. My eyes flew open. "What, 12 times?" Eli said. "Calls, emails, messages through my company. He didn't reach me directly. I told my staff not to respond, but my lawyer saved everything. He opened an email on his phone." I braced myself. Eli handed me the phone. The first message made my stomach twist. "Vance, I regret the misunderstanding at the wedding. I was unaware of your status. I would like to speak privately to clear things up." "Misunderstanding," I muttered bitterly. "That's what he calls it?" Eli nodded gently. "Notice he apologized to me." "Not to you," I continued reading. Second message. "Sir, this is Darius Hayes, Ellie's son. I have a business proposal that I believe would interest you." I felt sick. "He didn't even mention me," I said, voice shaking. "He jumped straight to business." "That's not the worst of it," Eli said softly. He opened the next one. "Mr. Vance, I'm going through a temporary financial setback. As Ellie's son, I hoped we could speak as family. I'm sure we can help each other, especially for Ellie's sake." My hands clenched around the phone. "He's using me," I whispered. "He's manipulating you by using me." Eli touched my shoulder. "There's more." The final message froze my blood. "Elias, I need $500,000 by Friday or I'll be in serious trouble. As my mother's husband, it is your moral responsibility to support her family. I promise to repay the loan with interest." I felt the world tilt sideways. "He tried to guilt you into giving him $500,000, I said, voice trembling. "After humiliating you? After humiliating me?" Eli nodded. "He never once mentioned apologizing to you," he said softly. "Not once. His only concern was money." Tears spilled down my cheeks before I realized it. "I raised him," I whispered. "I worked myself to death to give him a good life. I sacrificed everything for him, and this is who he became." Eli wrapped his arms around me, pulling me into his chest. "It's not your fault, Ellie. You gave him love. You gave him everything. But he chose arrogance. He chose entitlement. You can't blame yourself for that. But I did. God, I did." All the memories flashed through my mind. Birthdays he skipped, holidays he forgot, loans he demanded, the emotional distance he created, the unreturned calls. Years and years of me shrinking myself just to keep a connection alive. Now he was begging my husband for money because he was drowning. Drowning in what? What trouble is he in? I finally asked. Eli hesitated, and that scared me more than anything. Ellie, he said quietly, he owes close to $2 million. My heart stuttered. No, I whispered, no, that's impossible. 2 million, he nodded sadly. And some of the people he owes, they're not exactly banks, they're dangerous. I covered my mouth with my hands. My baby, my son, my flawed, arrogant, selfish son, he was in real danger. Eli continued gently, he's borrowed from loan sharks. He invested in fraudulent businesses. He's maxed out every credit line. And his house, it's in foreclosure. I felt dizzy. My knees buckled. Eli caught me before I hit the floor. I didn't want you to hear this today, he whispered. But you deserve the truth. Tears poured out of me uncontrollably. How did this happen? I sobbed. How did I lose him? How did he become this person? Eli held me tighter. Ellie, you didn't lose him. He lost himself. I cried into his chest until I had no tears left. And then when I finally caught my breath, one horrifying thought pushed its way out. What if they hurt him? Eli rested his forehead against mine. That's why we need to decide what to do next. He paused. Because, sweetheart, whether we help him or not will change everything. When Eli told me my son owed money to dangerous people, I had to make the hardest decision of my life. Save him, or let him crash into the consequences he created. I sat on the edge of the penthouse bed, numb, staring at the glittering city lights below us. Millions of tiny lights sparkling like things were perfect. But inside me, everything was collapsing. My son, my only child, drowning under $2 million of debt, hunted by people who didn't knock twice. And somewhere beneath all the pain, humiliation, and betrayal, the mother in me was screaming. Eli sat beside me, wrapping an arm gently around my shoulders. Ellie, he said quietly, I know this is hard to hear. I know you're hurting, but we need to talk about what happens next. I wiped my tears, but they kept coming, stubborn and endless. I don't even know what to think, I whispered. I'm furious, I'm terrified, I'm ashamed, and I still love him. Even after everything he did. Eli nodded slowly. Of course you do, he's your son. That doesn't ever shut off. I covered my face with my hands. He humiliated me, Eli, in front of 400 people. He called you trash. He called our love pathetic. He mocked our life. And now he wants you to save him? He doesn't want me to save him, Eli corrected softly. He wants your money, your connection, your forgiveness. Whatever he can leverage, I swallowed hard. The truth stung because it was real. I can't just abandon him, I whispered. And I'm not asking you to, Eli said. But helping him and rescuing him are two very different things. I looked at him, shaking. Tell me what you think I should do. Eli took my hands gently. I can give you my opinion, he said, but this is your son. You get the final say, always. He paused before continuing. Ellie, if we give him money right now, $500,000 or even $2 million, we might save him temporarily. But he won't learn anything. He'll repeat the cycle. He will take advantage of you again, and he will hurt you again. The word sliced me open. On the other hand, he said carefully, if we don't give him money, he'll be forced to confront the mess he created. He'll have to face the consequences. Maybe for the first time in his entire life. I took a shaky breath. And what if they hurt him? Then we protect him, Eli said, but without enabling him. I stared at him, confused. What does that mean? It means, Eli explained, we don't give him cash, but we can give him a lawyer, a shield, a legal path out of the danger, protection without reward. I blinked. Is that possible? Yes, Eli said. My attorney Mark has handled cases like this. He can negotiate with creditors. He can get court protection. He can guide Darius into bankruptcy so he resets his life the right way. I exhaled shakily. That doesn't involve us paying? No, Eli said firmly. Not a penny. A storm of emotions spun inside me. Fear, guilt, relief, confusion. Was I really considering letting my son fall, just so he'd learn to stand? I stood up and walked to the window. Far below, cars moved like tiny ants. The world kept spinning, unaware of the war inside my chest. What if he hates me? I whispered. He already does, Eli said gently. Not because of who you are, but because of who he is right now. And that will only change when he changes. I closed my eyes as more tears spilled. He's my baby, Eli. I raised him alone. I held him through fevers, nightmares, heartbreaks, and now he's so far from the boy I knew. Then let him find his way back, Eli said softly. Not to you, but to himself. I turned toward him. And what if he never forgives me? Eli walked up to me, cupping my face in both hands. Then he never loved you the way a son should, he said simply. And you deserve better than conditional love. That hit so deep I nearly broke. My whole life I had accepted crumbs, moments, scraps, half effort because I didn't want to lose him. I let him treat me like an ATM, a babysitter, a burden, just to keep him close. And in doing that, I had lost myself. Maybe this was the moment to find me again. I can't give him the money, I said finally, barely above a whisper. Eli's eyes softened. Are you sure? No, I admitted. But it's still the right thing. I felt sick. I felt shaky. But I felt strong. He needs consequences, I said. He needs a reality check? And maybe hitting rock bottom will force him to look up. Eli nodded. I'll call Mark in the morning. I took a long breath, bracing myself for what would come next. And? Eli? Yes, sweetheart? Will you help me talk to him? When it's time, he pulled me into his arms. You'll never face him alone, he whispered. Not ever again. I cried into his chest until I was empty. And then, just when I thought the night had finally calmed, Eli pulled back slightly and said, There's something else you need to know about Darius. My heart seized. What now? I whispered. Eli hesitated. Tasha left him. When Eli told me Tasha left him, I thought he meant temporarily. I had no idea things were about to spiral into the darkest chapter of my son's life. Tasha left him? I repeated, barely forming the words. Eli nodded slowly. She moved out 2 days ago, took the kids, went back to her parents. My body went cold. No, she wouldn't do that, I whispered. Not like this. Not when things are bad, she did, Eli said gently. And from what Mark uncovered, she's blaming him for everything. I sank onto the edge of the bed, hands trembling. Of course, I scoffed bitterly. Of course she is. Tasha never takes responsibility, not for anything. Eli stood beside me. She told her family the wedding disaster was his fault. She told them he embarrassed her. She told them she was done carrying a man who couldn't carry himself. I closed my eyes. That woman has been poisoning him for years, I whispered. But now she's abandoning him at his worst moment. Eli hesitated. She doesn't just blame him, Ellie. She blames you too. My head snapped up. What? She told her parents that everything that happened is because you married a broke old man. She said if you hadn't embarrassed them at the wedding, Darius wouldn't be falling apart. I felt the heat rise in my face. She humiliated me, I said through gritted teeth, in front of hundreds of people, and somehow she's twisting the story so she's the victim. Eli nodded. That's how people like her operate. I exhaled shakily. What about the kids? Miles and Chloe? Safe, Eli assured me. Mark arranged for discreet security near the house where they're staying. Nobody's getting near them. Not creditors, not loan sharks, not anyone. Relief washed through me like warm water. But Darius, I whispered, what's happening to him right now? Eli sat beside me on the bed, voice gentle. He's unraveling, Ellie. Fast. He's drinking heavily. He's not sleeping. He's panicking. I covered my face with my hands. Oh, God. And he's looking for you, Eli added quietly. My breath caught. For me, yes. He went to your house yesterday, knocked on the door for 20 minutes. He thought you were avoiding him. I felt a wave of guilt, sharp and suffocating. I wasn't avoiding him. I whispered. I was preparing for the wedding. I know, sweetheart, Eli said, rubbing my back, but he doesn't know that. And in his mind, when he needs you most, you're not there. My heart twisted painfully. But Eli, he always needed me only when he needed money. Eli nodded. And that's exactly why we need to handle this carefully. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Darius as a little boy, holding my hand on the way to kindergarten, crying when he broke his first toy, hugging me after nightmares. How did we get here? How did that small boy become this lost man? By sunrise, my nerves were wrecked. Eli brought me coffee and said softly, Ellie, he called again. My stomach twisted. Called? Who? Me, Eli said. Not you. I sat up straight. What did he say? Eli took a deep breath. He asked for another meeting. Said it was urgent. He begged me to convince you to talk to him. I froze. He begged, Eli nodded. And then he continued carefully. He tried threatening me. My blood ran cold. What did he say? He said that if I didn't help him, he would make sure you regretted turning your back on him. That he'd take the kids away from you forever. That he'd go to the media. My breath caught. He what? Eli squeezed my hand quickly. He's desperate, Ellie. Cornered people lash out. My entire body shook. So he's blackmailing us? He thinks he is, Eli said calmly, but he has no power. Especially not over me. I stared at Eli, my strong, steady, unshakable husband, and for the first time in a long time I felt safe. Ellie, he said softly, you can't meet him alone, it's not safe. Not emotionally and not physically. I nodded slowly. But I need to see him, I whispered. I need to look him in the eyes and understand how my child reached this point. I'll arrange a safe location, Eli said. Neutral ground, public, secure, and Mark will be nearby in case things escalate. My throat tightened. Thank you, I whispered. I don't know how I'd get through any of this without you. You won't ever have to, he said, pulling me close. Not again. Later that afternoon, Eli approached me gently. Ellie, we heard something else. My stomach clenched instantly. What? What now? Darius didn't just lose his wife, Eli said. Or his house, or his money. He paused. He tried to sell your story to the media. My heart shattered. No, I whispered. No, he wouldn't do that. Not me. Not his mother. He tried, Eli said. He called 3 networks, 2 newspapers, 1 podcast. He tried to paint himself as a victim, and you as the villain. My knees buckled. Eli caught me. He is drowning, Ellie, and drowning people don't care who they pull down with them. Tears streamed down my face. I don't even recognize him anymore. I know, Eli whispered, but the question now is, do you still want to meet him after all this? I wiped my tears slowly. Yes, I took a shaky breath. I have to. I need to know if there's anything left of the son I raised. Eli nodded. Okay, then we meet him tomorrow. The next morning, I went to see my son. I thought I was prepared for anything. But when that door opened, I felt my heart shatter in a way I didn't know was possible. Eli insisted on taking the security team, but I told him I needed to do the first part alone, not the whole meeting. Just the moment when a mother looks her child in the eyes after everything is burned to the ground. He didn't want to agree. He paced. He frowned. He argued gently, but eventually he said, "Fine, I'll wait outside. But if anything happens, anything, you call me instantly, I promise." The building where Darius was staying wasn't a home. It barely qualified as shelter. A cracked concrete staircase led up to the 3rd floor, graffiti smeared across every wall. The smell of dampness, cigarettes, and old trash clung to the air. A sound of a TV blaring from behind someone's thin door mixed with a baby crying in another unit. My heart sank. This wasn't the world I imagined for my son. This wasn't the man I raised. This wasn't the life I wanted him to fall into. But choices have consequences. I reached apartment #32. My hand hovered over the door. Just a mom. Just a broken heart trying to hold itself together. I knocked. There was shuffling inside. A pause. A click. A slow turning of the knob. Then the door opened, and standing there wasn't Darius Hayes. It was the shell of him. His once sharp suit-wearing, gel-haired confidence was gone. His hair was messy, unwashed. His face looked hollowed out, cheeks sunken, dark circles carved beneath his eyes like bruises. His clothes were wrinkled, stained, hanging off him like they belonged to someone else. He smelled like stress, alcohol, and sleepless nights. "Mom," he whispered, voice cracked, small, broken, and every ounce of anger I had melted into heartbreak. "Oh, Darius," I breathed without thinking. He stepped back, embarrassed, motioning me in, but I stayed by the doorway. "No," I said gently. "We talk right here." His shoulders fell. He nodded, defeated. "Okay," he whispered. He wiped his face with his sleeve, trying to look presentable. It didn't help. He leaned against the doorframe like he didn't have the strength to stand upright. "Mom, I know I messed up," he said, voice shaking. But I didn't know who he was. If I had known Eli was a billionaire, I wouldn't have said those things. A single tear rolled down my cheek. "There it is," I whispered. "The truth of what?" he asked, confused. "You're not sorry for what you did," I said quietly. "You're sorry because you insulted someone rich." But even he didn't believe it. You don't regret humiliating me. I continued. Only that you humiliated a man who could have helped you. His face crumpled. Mom, please, I'm drowning. He sank to his knees on the dirty floor, not out of drama, but because he didn't have the strength to stay standing. It broke me. My son, the baby I rocked to sleep, the boy I raised alone, crumpled on the floor of a rundown apartment. I knelt too, but not close enough for him to lean on me. Mom, I'll do anything, he cried. Anything, just help me. Just don't give up on me. I'm scared. I'm so scared, and my voice trembled. What happened with Tasha? He wiped his face again. She said I embarrassed her. She said she didn't marry a loser. She said her parents think I ruined their family image and she can't be with someone who's financially contagious. I flinched at the cruelty. And the kids, I asked. She took them. Won't let me see them, won't answer my calls. She told them I'm sick and need space. His voice cracked again. He broke down completely. I felt my heart tear open, but then he whispered the sentence that stabbed me straight through the chest. Mom, I tried selling our story to reporters. I stared at him, breath gone. I was desperate, he said quickly. I didn't know what else to do. I thought if they heard me out, if I explained how your billionaire husband abandoned me, they'd pay me enough to get these guys off my back. I felt the air leave my lungs. You were going to turn me into a villain, I whispered. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. Tears streamed down my face. My own son, I whispered, was going to sell me. His sobs grew louder, messy, raw, painful. Mom, I'm sorry, please. I'm begging you. I don't want to die. Those words froze my blood. What do you mean? I whispered. The men he swallowed. They said they're coming back Friday. And next time, they won't just threaten. Fear shot through me so hard my vision blurred. Darius, why didn't you go to the police? They can't stop these people, he cried. They're connected. They know where I sleep. He was truly terrified. And in that moment, I didn't see the selfish man who humiliated me. I saw my son, my broken, desperate, terrified son. Mom, please, he begged. I have nobody left but you. I took a deep, shaky breath. I can't give you the money, Darius. His face fell, but I can give you something else. He looked up, confused, hopeful, desperate. What? I reached into my handbag and handed him a business card. He blinked at it. Who's this? Eli's lawyer, I said quietly. One of the best in the country. He can protect you. He can negotiate for you. He can get you to safety. Darius stared at the card, shaking. You're not giving me money, he whispered. No, I said firmly, but I'm giving you a lifeline. Whether you grab it is up to you. He pressed the card to his forehead and sobbed. And for the first time in his adult life, Darius thanked me. I thought giving Darius the lawyer's card would calm things down. I thought he'd finally choose the right path, but what he did next left me shaking for hours. When I left that apartment, I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel relieved. I felt hollow. Eli waited in the car, watching me walk toward him with an expression I'll never forget. Concern mixed with hope. The moment I opened the passenger door, he reached for my hands. How did it go? He asked softly. I swallowed. He's worse than I imagined, I whispered. He's scared, he's desperate, he's hanging by a thread, and he's alone. Eli squeezed my hands gently. And what did you do? I didn't give him money, I said, but I gave him Mark's card. Eli nodded slowly, proud but cautious. And do you think he'll use it? I stared out the window. I honestly don't know. The drive home was silent. My thoughts were loud enough. We reached the estate, and I went straight to the balcony overlooking the ocean. The waves moved with a calm rhythm that made my heart ache. I wanted peace like that. Steady, predictable, steadying. But instead, all I felt was dread crawling beneath my skin. The next morning I woke up before sunrise. I hadn't slept. Not really. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Darius. On the floor, crying, begging, shaking. Eli came up behind me as I stood at the window, arms sliding around my waist. You're thinking about him, he said quietly. I can't stop, I whispered. He's my son. Even after everything, he's still my son. Eli kissed my head gently. I know, and that's exactly why he has a chance. Because deep down he knows you haven't abandoned him. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Darius. My heart jumped into my throat. I answered immediately. Darius? Are you okay? All I heard was shaky breathing. Mom. I did it. Did what? I called the lawyer. I closed my eyes in relief as he continued. Mark came here this morning. He talked to me for 2 hours. And, Mom, I told him everything. Every debt, every threat, every lie I ever told, everything I did to you. My heart tightened. Good, I whispered. That's the first step. He inhaled shakily. Mom, I didn't sleep last night. I kept replaying everything in my head. The wedding, the way I talked to you, the way I treated Eli. I felt sick. That's guilt, I said gently. It means you're finally waking up. No, he said. It means I'm finally seeing what I turned into. Before I could respond, his voice broke. Mark told me bankruptcy is the only option. He said he'll help protect me from the violent creditors. He said Eli already arranged some kind of emergency filing. I turned, staring at Eli in shock. He just shrugged. I'm not going to let your son get killed, he said quietly. He's family. My throat tightened, and Darius continued. Mom, I know you told Eli not to bail me out. But the fact that he still protected me without telling you, without telling me, I can't stop thinking about that. This time, I was the one who went silent, because that was the moment something shifted, something deep, something important. But before I could speak, Darius exhaled shakily and said, Mom, I need to tell you something, and you're not going to like it. I braced myself. What is it? Last night, after you left, those guys came back. My blood froze. What? I gasped. Darius, are you okay? Did they hurt you? No, but they threatened to come again today. And this time, they said if I didn't pay, they'd take something I couldn't get back. My knees buckled. Eli grabbed my arm instantly. What does that mean? I demanded. He whispered the words I feared. They said they know where the kids sleep. My entire body went cold. I felt nausea rise up my throat. Oh my God, Darius, I know, he said quickly. That's why I called Mark. That's why I'm doing everything he says. He already sent people to talk to the police. He's filing for immediate protective orders. He said Eli already planned for situations like this? I turned to Eli slowly. You knew, I whispered. He looked away. I suspected it was coming, he admitted. I didn't want to worry you until we had a plan in place. The tears hit my eyes instantly. You protected my grandchildren, I whispered. Always, his voice was firm. I turned back to the phone. Darius, listen to me. This is not your fault. But this is your turning point. Do exactly what Mark tells you. Do not meet those men. Do not go outside alone. Do not negotiate. Do not answer unknown numbers. I won't, he said quickly. Mom, I swear I'm listening. For the first time in my life, I'm listening. He paused, then his voice cracked. I don't want to die, Mom. That single sentence sliced through me like a blade. You won't, I said fiercely. Not if I have anything to do with it, he sniffed deeply. Mom, can I ask you one more thing? What, if I get through this, if I get better, if I change, will you ever forgive me? A long silence fell, painful, raw, heavy. I looked at Eli. He squeezed my hand gently. Then I spoke. I don't know when, I whispered. And I don't know how, but yes, I want to forgive you someday. I really do, Darius cried softly on the other end. Okay, he whispered. That's enough. That's more than I deserve. Before I could answer, someone knocked loudly on his door. My heart stopped. Darius, who is that? He inhaled sharply. It's Mark, he said, voice trembling. He said he'd come back with the police. Relief crushed me. Go, I whispered. Do what they tell you. I will, I promise. And then, Mom? Yes, I love you. My breath caught. I love you. My breath caught. I love you too, I whispered. He hung up, and I collapsed into Eli's arms sobbing. The moment I hung up with Darius, I finally felt like I could breathe. But 5 minutes later, my phone buzzed with a breaking news alert. And what I saw made my entire body go cold. I stayed frozen in Eli's arms long after Darius hung up. My heart was pounding, but some tiny sliver of hope had returned. He'd called Mark. He'd chosen help instead of running. He'd admitted his mistakes. Those were huge steps. For the first time in months, I felt like maybe, just maybe, my son had taken the first step out of the darkness. Eli stroked my hair gently. You did the right thing, Ellie, he whispered. You gave him a chance to save himself. I hope he takes it, I murmured. He will, Eli said confidently. He just needed to hit the bottom to finally look up. I opened my mouth to respond. Jesus. My phone vibrated violently in my hand. I glanced down. A breaking news alert flashed across the screen in bold red letters. My heart stuttered. "What is it?" Eli asked, seeing my face change. I tapped the notification, and the headline hit me like a punch to the chest. "Local businessman under investigation for massive loan fraud scheme." A picture loaded. My breath disappeared. It was Tasha's father, Larry Jenkins, the same man who mocked my husband at my wedding, the same man who screamed that my marriage was a joke, the same man who encouraged Darius' arrogance, the same man Darius owed part of his money to. "Oh my God," I whispered. Eli leaned closer, reading fast. The article continued. Authorities say dozens of victims were pressured into illegal loans with violent enforcement tactics. My stomach flipped. Violent enforcement. Loan sharks, pressure, threats. This was connected, of course it was. Larry Jenkins had always flaunted his money, bragging about investments no one understood, his gaudy gold chains, flashy suits, designer watches, none of it matched any legitimate business. And now the truth was coming out. Eli exhaled sharply. "Well, this explains a lot. It explains everything." I breathed. Darius, the threats, the debts, the danger, it all leads back to them. My hands shook. My son got trapped in their world. He thought he was marrying into wealth, but he married into corruption. Before Eli could respond, the article updated again. New line, fresh information. Authorities executed search warrants at multiple properties this morning, including the Jenkins family estate. My jaw dropped. "Eli, they raided Tasha's parents' house." Eli nodded grimly. "Good, it's about time. But what about the kids?" I asked sharply, panic rising. "We already placed security near them." Eli reminded me calmly. "They're safe." I let out a shaky breath. Then another update popped up. "Several individuals connected to the operation have fled the state. Police are asking residents to report any suspicious activity." My blood ran cold. "What does that mean?" I whispered. "It means some of the people Darius owes money to are panicking," Eli said. "When criminal networks collapse, everyone scrambles." I swallowed hard. "And some might come after him." Eli looked me straight in the eyes. "That's why we're staying alert. And why Mark is moving fast." I scrolled further down the article. A sentence near the bottom made my heart stop. "Investigators say the operation expanded through family channels and business associates, including the son-in-law of a key suspect." I stared. Son-in-law, key suspect, business associates. It clicked. "Oh my God," I whispered. "They're talking about Darius." Eli took a slow breath. "I was afraid of that." "He didn't know," I insisted. "Darius is many things, but he's not a criminal." "No," Eli agreed. "But in situations like this, ignorance doesn't always protect you. If his name is on anything at all, he could be questioned." My head spun. "He's already falling apart. He can't handle this." "Which is why Mark is already on it," Eli reassured. "He'll keep Darius legally shielded." I rubbed my forehead, overwhelmed. How did my son get dragged into something this big? Eli didn't sugarcoat it, because he worshipped money. And people who worship money blindly always end up following the wrong hands. I sat heavily on the sofa. "So Tasha's family wasn't rich?" I muttered. "They were dangerous." "Exactly," Eli said. And Darius didn't see the difference. A sick feeling twisted in my stomach. "He could have died," Eli whispered. "He could have died because of them." "He didn't," Eli said firmly. "Because you stepped in, because you pushed him to call Mark, and because we're not going to let him be swallowed by this." I nodded slowly. Then, PZ. Another message, not a news alert, a text from Darius. My hands shook as I opened it. "Mom, the police just came to my apartment. They want to talk to me about Tasha's dad. Please answer." I felt my stomach drop straight through the floor. "Oh God," I whispered. "They're questioning him." Eli's voice was steady. "This was inevitable. The sooner he tells the truth, the safer he'll be." Darius texted again. "Mom, they said my name was on some papers. I didn't know what they were. I swear to God." I'm freaking out. My pulse raced. "Eli, what do I tell him?" "Tell him what he needs to hear," Eli said gently. "Tell him to stay with the police until Mark arrives. Tell him not to run, and tell him the truth." I typed slowly. "Stay calm. Stay where you are. Mark is on his way. Do not lie. Do not hide anything. You will get through this," he replied instantly. "I'm scared." My vision blurred with tears. "I know," I wrote back. But you're not alone. I lowered the phone and took a deep, shaky breath. Ellie, Eli said softly. Yes, you need to prepare yourself. This investigation may pull your son into territory he never expected. I nodded, wiping my tears. And that's why I'm not leaving him alone. When the security guard called and said, "Ma'am, you need to come see this," I genuinely thought it was police following up on Darius. But the moment I looked at the cameras, I felt my blood turn to ice. The day was already chaotic. Police questioning Darius, reports exploding online, Tasha's family being raided, loan sharks fleeing the city. My nerves were stretched thin like a frayed rubber band ready to snap. So when the intercom buzzed loudly, I jumped. Eli, calm as always, placed a hand over mine. "It's probably the police," he said. "Maybe they need another statement." But the moment he answered, the guard's voice came through. Tight, uneasy, not at all routine. "Sir, you and Mrs. Hayes need to come to the gate. Like right now." Eli exchanged a glance with me. "Is there a problem?" he asked. A pause, then, "They're asking for her." My stomach dropped. "Who is they?" I whispered. The guard hesitated. "It's Darius' children." My breath hitched. "What?" And, the guard added nervously, "Tasha's mother." My heart plummeted straight through the floor. "Brenda?" I said, stunned. "That woman came here. She's not alone," the guard continued. "There are 2 other people with her. They say it's urgent." My pulse thundered in my ears. "Show the camera feed," Eli ordered. The screen lit up, and there they were, Miles and Chloe, my grandchildren, standing outside my gate, holding hands, looking terrified. Behind them stood Brenda Jenkins, her arms crossed, wearing her usual mountain of faux gold jewelry, her expression pinched like she'd been sucking lemons for years. But she wasn't the problem. The problem was the 2 men standing behind her. Men I did not recognize, both wearing dark jackets. Both scanning the area like wolves. Both with a presence that screamed, "Something is very wrong." I grabbed Eli's arm without thinking. "Oh my God, why are they here? Why are the kids with her? Why are those men here?" Eli's jaw tightened. "Let's go," he said. Now we rushed downstairs. 2 security guards followed close behind. The moment we reached the outer gate, I saw the children more clearly. Miles, 6 years old, was clutching a small backpack, eyes red like he'd been crying for hours. Chloe, only 4, had her arms wrapped around a stuffed bunny, lip trembling. My heart shattered. "Grandma," Chloe cried the second she saw me. I stepped forward instinctively, but Eli's hand gently held me back while the guards checked the situation. Brenda rolled her eyes dramatically. "Oh, relax," she snapped. "We're not here to kidnap anyone." "That's exactly what a kidnapper would say," Eli muttered under his breath, making one guard hide a smile. "What do you want, Brenda?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She huffed. "Let us in. I need to talk to you, and it's about Darius." Eli nodded to the guards, who only opened the pedestrian gate after scanning everyone. Miles immediately ran to me, throwing his arms around my waist. "Grandma, we're scared," he whispered. Chloe followed, burying her face against my stomach. I wrapped them both up, holding tight, my heart breaking at how small they felt. "What happened?" I demanded. Brenda looked furious, but not at me, at them, the 2 men standing behind her. "These 2 are here because of your son," she snapped, "and because of my daughter's stupidity." One man stepped forward. "Mrs. Hayes," he said calmly. "I'm Detective Alvarez with the Organized Crimes Division." My breath caught. The other man flashed a badge. "Detective Moore, we need to talk about Darius Hayes and the children's safety." My knees nearly buckled. "What does that mean?" Eli asked firmly, stepping slightly in front of me. Detective Alvarez exchanged a look with Moore, then said, "Your son is officially considered a potential target in the loan shark investigation, and we have reason to believe the children were also at risk." I gasped. Miles whimpered and clung tighter to me. Eli's face darkened. "How did they get here?" he demanded. "Where are their mother and grandparents?" Brenda threw up her hands dramatically. "Gone," she snapped. "My daughter ran. My husband ran. The police ransacked our house this morning and they bolted before they could be questioned." I stared. "Wait, they left the children." Brenda looked ashamed. "I woke up and the kids were alone in the house. No note, no call, no food, nothing. My daughter abandoned them completely." Chloe began crying again. My heart cracked open. "And I didn't know where to take them," Brenda continued, voice breaking despite her pride. But the kids, they begged to come here because they know who loves them. I knelt down and hugged them both. Detective Moore continued, Mrs. Hayes, your grandchildren are safer with you and Mr. Vance than anywhere else right now. The suspects are scattering. When criminals run, they get unpredictable. I swallowed hard. What about Darius? I whispered. The detectives exchanged another look. Then Alvarez said, your son is cooperating fully, but he may be a key witness. My pulse raced. A witness, as in, they'll come after him. We don't know yet, Moore said quietly, but we do know this. The kids cannot go back to their mother. Not right now, not with her family on the run. My breath caught. So, what happens to them? The detective's answer made my heart stop. Mrs. Hayes, we need to place the children with the safest, most stable guardian available. He held out a folder, and legally, that's you. When the detective said the kids needed a safe guardian, I thought it meant temporary. But when he handed me the folder, I realized this wasn't temporary at all. The world felt blurry for a moment, as if someone had pressed pause, and everything froze except the pounding of my heart. Miles gripped my hand. Chloe buried her face in my dress. Detective Alvarez opened the folder he brought and spread out several official-looking documents. Mrs. Hayes, he said, given the situation, Child Protective Services is preparing an emergency guardianship order. The children need immediate placement with a responsible, stable adult. Someone who's not connected to the Jenkins investigation. And that's you, Detective Moore added softly. You're the only family member with no ties to the case, and the only person the kids asked for. Chloe sniffed and looked up at me, her little voice trembling. Grandma, can we stay with you, please? Something inside me buckled. Yes, sweetheart, I whispered, hugging her gently. You're safe here, I promise. Brenda surprisingly didn't argue. Her shoulders sagged, her mascara smudged. She looked 10 years older. Ellie, she said quietly. Whatever our issues are, my daughter messed up. Bad. But these kids didn't deserve any of this. They need stability. They need love. They need someone who won't run. I studied her face. For the first time since I met that woman, she looked human. And for a brief moment, we were just two women caught in a storm neither of us expected. Before I could respond, Eli stepped forward, level-headed and steady. What do you need from us? He asked the detectives. Detective Moore handed him the top paper. This is the emergency guardianship authorization, he said. It gives temporary custody of the children to Mrs. Hayes effective immediately. I blinked. Temporary, for how long? That depends, he replied. If Tasha resurfaces and proves she's capable, custody could shift. But realistically, with her father wanted and her family fleeing investigation, this could turn into long-term guardianship until a judge decides. Meaning? I whispered. Meaning you might be raising these kids for a while, he said gently. Maybe permanently. My heart stopped. Eli placed a comforting hand on my back. Miles tugged my sleeve. Grandma, will we sleep here tonight? My eyes stung with tears. Yes, baby, I said, brushing his hair back. Tonight and every night you need me. As the detectives reviewed safety protocols, Brenda cleared her throat. I should go, she said. They'll probably question me again. And honestly, I can't take care of them right now. I'm not stable enough. She looked at her grandchildren with a sad softness. Be good, okay? Grandma Brenda loves you. But right now, Ellie is the safest place. I nodded. Despite everything, I gave her a small gesture of respect. Thank you for bringing them, I said softly. She nodded back, eyes glossy. Then she left, with detectives escorting her for questioning. The moment she disappeared through the gate, Chloe latched onto me again. Grandma, I'm hungry. I swallowed hard. Okay, sweetheart. Let's get you both cleaned up and fed. Eli smiled gently. And then, little man, he said to Miles, we'll set up a whole new room for you. Whatever posters you want. Superheroes, dinosaurs, your pick, Miles sniffed. Do you have Wi-Fi? Eli chuckled. Kid, we have Wi-Fi that could talk to the moon. For the first time all day, Miles smiled. As we walked the kids inside, a black SUV pulled into the driveway behind us. My heart skipped. Are we expecting someone? I asked Eli. No, he said cautiously. Security would have radioed. Something's off. The SUV parked. The back door opened, and my knees nearly buckled when I saw who stepped out. Tasha. Her hair was wild, her makeup smeared, Her expensive dress wrinkled as if she'd slept in it, but she looked different. Not powerful, not smug, not superior, she looked broken. The kids froze the second they saw her. "Mom," Miles whispered, but Chloe ran behind me hiding. Tasha's eyes filled with tears. Not manipulative, not calculated, real tears. "Ellie, please," she said, voice hoarse. "I need to talk to you." Eli's posture stiffened. "You're not welcome here," he said sharply. "Not after what you did." "I know," Tasha said, sobbing. "I know, but please, let me explain." I held the kids close. "Tasha," I said coldly, "your father is under criminal investigation. Your family fled the state. You left your children alone in a house and disappeared. And now you want to talk?" She fell to her knees right there on the driveway. "I didn't run away," she cried. "I was kidnapped." Silence slammed between us. Even Eli looked stunned. "What?" I breathed. She nodded desperately. "They took me, my father's people. They thought I knew too much. I didn't leave my kids. I was taken. My mouth fell open. This wasn't the twist I'd expected, not even close."